The year was 3125. Earth, now a planet shaped by over a millennium of technological progress, was a marvel of human ingenuity, but also a testament to the toll that time had taken. The environment had been drastically altered. Rising sea levels from centuries earlier had submerged coastal cities, forcing humanity to construct new megacities further inland or on massive floating platforms. These new cities towered above the remnants of the old world. Their sleek, futuristic designs integrated seamlessly with the remnants of ancient skyscrapers and ruins that had withstood the ravages of time. The atmosphere was no longer the pristine blue it once was. It had taken on a darker, almost purplish hue, the result of atmospheric alterations made to counteract the effects of pollution and climate change. Despite these measures, the air carried a faint metallic scent, a constant reminder of humanity's attempts to dominate and manipulate nature. The landscape was dotted with colossal structures, some reaching into the stratosphere, their tops obscured by clouds. These buildings were more than just homes. They were ecosystems unto themselves, complete with artificial climates, farms, and entire communities living within their walls. Dr. Adrian Walker, a brilliant yet reclusive physicist, had spent his life on the fringes of society, engrossed in his work. While the world celebrated its achievements in AI, space colonization, and genetic engineering, Adrian focused on a far more elusive goal: time travel. His lab, a sprawling underground facility buried beneath what was once Silicon Valley, was filled with machinery and devices that few could comprehend. It was here that Adrian had spent decades refining his theories and experiments, pushing the boundaries of what was considered possible. One late evening, after years of tireless research, Adrian made a breakthrough. The temporal displacement apparatus, a small, intricately designed device no larger than a wristwatch, was finally ready. This device, if his calculations were correct, would allow him to traverse the very fabric of space-time. He had tested it on inanimate objects and simple organisms, all with success, but this was the first time he would attempt a journey himself. With a mix of excitement and trepidation, Adrian activated the device. The hum of machinery grew louder and the air around him began to warp, bending light in ways that made the room appear to twist and stretch. A blinding flash of light enveloped him, and for a moment, everything went dark. When Adrian opened his eyes, he found himself standing in the same place, but the world around him had changed dramatically. He had programmed the device to send him 1,000 years into the future, to the year 4125, but something had gone wrong. He was not in the future he had expected. The lab was eerily silent, the once vibrant hum of technology now absent. Cautiously, Adrian stepped outside, and what he saw sent a chill down his spine. The world that greeted him was both familiar and utterly alien. The megacities were still there, but they were in ruins, their once majestic towers crumbling, overtaken by strange, luminescent vines that pulsed with an unnatural light. The air was thick with a strange mist that seemed to cling to his skin, and the sky, once a deep purple, was now a murky shade of green, filled with swirling clouds that crackled with energy. As he ventured further into the city, Adrian noticed the eerie silence. The bustling life that once filled these streets was gone, replaced by an oppressive stillness. Then he saw them, tall, slender figures moving through the ruins with an almost ghostly grace. Their skin was a pale, iridescent silver that shimmered in the dim light, and their elongated limbs moved with an unsettling fluidity. Their eyes, large and luminescent, glowed with an otherworldly intelligence. These were not humans. Adrian's heart raced as he realized the truth. Earth had been conquered by an alien race. These beings, the Zephyrians, had claimed the planet as their own, their advanced technology far surpassing anything humanity had ever conceived. The few remaining humans he encountered were in chains, their eyes hollow, their spirits broken. They were slaves, laboring under the watchful eyes of their alien overlords. The city was a nightmarish blend of the familiar and the unknown. The remnants of human civilization were scattered among alien structures, their designs organic and fluid, as if grown rather than built. Strange machines hovered in the air, emitting a low hum that resonated deep within Adrian's bones. He watched in horror as the Zephyrians used devices that could manipulate matter itself, bending reality to their will with ease. In a daze, Adrian wandered through the ruins, piecing together the fragments of what had happened. The invasion had occurred centuries ago, and humanity, despite its advancements, had been no match for the Zephyrians. The alien race had swept across the planet, crushing all resistance, and in the end, Earth had fallen. The planet was now little more than a colony, a resource to be exploited by its new masters. Despair threatened to overwhelm Adrian, but he knew he couldn't afford to give in. He had seen the future, a future where humanity was doomed unless he acted. With a heavy heart and a newfound determination, Adrian activated the temporal displacement apparatus once more. The world around him dissolved into a vortex of light and sound, and he was hurled back through time, back to the year 3125. When he emerged, he was back in his lab, the familiar hum of his machines grounding him in the present. The images of the ruined future were seared into his mind, a constant reminder of what awaited if he failed. He had to warn humanity. He had to prepare them for the invasion that was to come. But the task ahead was daunting. He was just one man, and the world was vast. Time was no longer on his side. It was his enemy. Yet Adrian knew that he could not give up. The future depended on it. Adrian's return to the present was anything but smooth. He stumbled out of the temporal vortex, disoriented and shaken. The familiar hum of his lab was a stark contrast to the chilling silence of the future, and for a moment he wondered if it had all been a nightmare. But the cold sweat on his brow and the vivid images in his mind told him otherwise. It was real, and the danger was imminent. Without wasting a moment, Adrian began drafting a comprehensive report detailing everything he had seen, the alien technology, their strategy, their overwhelming numbers. He knew that convincing the world would be a monumental task. Time travel was still considered science fiction, and the idea of an alien invasion would be met with skepticism, if not outright ridicule. Adrian decided to start with the scientific community. He reached out to colleagues and experts in fields ranging from astrophysics to military strategy, carefully selecting those who were open-minded enough to at least listen. He presented his findings at a secret conference, laying out his evidence with the precision and rigor that had earned him respect in the scientific world. To his surprise, his colleagues didn't immediately dismiss him. The detailed accounts of advanced technology and alien biology, coupled with Adrian's undeniable expertise, sparked a heated debate. Some believed him, others were skeptical, but none could outright refute his claims. The turning point came when Adrian demonstrated the temporal displacement apparatus. In a controlled environment, he sent a volunteer mere minutes into the future and back, proving the device's capability. This demonstration silenced many of his critics and shifted the conversation from disbelief to action. With the support of key scientists, Adrian was granted an audience with world leaders. His plea was simple yet profound. Humanity had a limited window to prepare for an invasion that would determine the fate of the planet. He laid out a plan, a global alliance to develop advanced defense technologies, fortify Earth's defenses, and initiate covert operations to gather intelligence on the Zephyrians. The world was slow to respond, bogged down by politics and skepticism. But as Adrian persisted, showing undeniable proof and rallying influential allies, the tide began to turn. Governments started to allocate resources, and the brightest minds on Earth were assembled to work on the countermeasures. Adrian was at the helm, guiding humanity toward a future where they stood a chance against the invaders. Years passed as the world gradually united under the looming threat of invasion. Adrian became a central figure in what was now known as Project Phoenix, an unprecedented global initiative aimed at safeguarding humanity's future. Nations that had once been rivals set aside their differences, pooling resources and knowledge to develop the technology needed to face the Zephyrians. The work was grueling and relentless. Adrian, who had once been a solitary scientist, now found himself leading teams of engineers, biologists, and military strategists. His lab had expanded into a sprawling research facility, with every corner buzzing with activity. The temporal displacement apparatus was refined, allowing for more precise jumps through time, which Adrian used sparingly to gather intelligence from the future without altering the timeline too drastically. One of the major breakthroughs came when Adrian and his team successfully reverse-engineered a piece of Zephyrian technology that had been retrieved during one of his temporal incursions. The alien tech, a weapon far more advanced than anything on Earth, became the blueprint for humanity's new line of defense systems. These weapons, combined with advanced AI and robotic systems, formed the backbone of Earth's defensive grid. But technology alone wasn't enough. Adrian knew that Earth's military forces, no matter how advanced, would be outmatched by the Zephyrians' sheer numbers and superior technology. So, he initiated a training program for a specialized force of soldiers, scientists, and spies, individuals who would be capable of not only fighting the aliens, but also understanding and countering their strategies. This force, known as the Vanguard, was humanity's first line of defense. As Project Phoenix grew, so did the urgency. Adrian continued to make brief trips to the future, each time gathering more data, each time witnessing the bleak fate that awaited Earth if they failed. He became a man possessed, driven by the knowledge that the invasion could happen at any moment. Finally, after nearly 2 decades of preparation, the warning signs began to appear. Strange signals from deep space, unexplained phenomena in the skies, and the sudden appearance of alien probes on the fringes of the solar system. The Zephyrians were coming. The year 3125 had been a turning point. But now, as the year 3145 dawned, the world braced itself for a battle that would determine the fate of humanity. The preparations of the last 2 decades had been intense, and the global alliance known as Project Phoenix had transformed Earth into a fortress. The moment Adrian had dreaded for so long was finally here. The Zephyrians were coming. It began with the strange signals. Astronomers and military satellites picked up faint but unmistakable transmissions from deep space. These signals were decoded and confirmed to be of Zephyrian origin. Within days, the first wave of alien probes entered the solar system, scouting Earth's defenses and relaying information back to the approaching fleet. The world was on high alert, every nation mobilizing its forces and activating the defensive technologies that had been developed under Adrian's guidance. The skies darkened as the Zephyrian fleet arrived, their ships vast and alien, their silhouettes blocking out the sun. These were not just vessels of war. They were living machines, grown rather than built, with organic forms that pulsed with an unsettling energy. The fleet moved into position, surrounding the planet, a noose tightening around Earth. In the command center deep within the heart of the global defense hub, Adrian Walker stood before a massive holographic display, his face illuminated by the blue light of the screens. Around him, military leaders, scientists, and strategists worked frantically, coordinating the global response. The room buzzed with tension, the air thick with the weight of what was about to happen. "Status report," Adrian demanded, his voice calm but firm. "Zephyrian fleet is in geosynchronous orbit above major population centers," reported General Elena Vargas, the leader of Earth's military forces. "They're holding position, but we're detecting energy fluctuations, likely weapon systems charging." Adrian nodded, his mind racing. "Initiate the defense grid. Bring the shield generators online." Across the planet, the defensive grid powered up. Massive energy shields, developed using the very technology Adrian had glimpsed in the future, flickered to life, encasing cities and critical infrastructure in protective domes. These shields were designed to absorb and deflect the energy-based weaponry of the Zephyrians, but they were untested in actual combat. The first strike came without warning. Beams of searing energy lanced down from the Zephyrian ships, striking the shields with devastating force. The ground shook, and the air crackled with energy as the shields absorbed the impact. But they held, for now. "Shields are holding, but they're taking a beating," Vargas reported, her voice tinged with concern. "Deploy the Vanguard," Adrian ordered. "We need to hit them before they can concentrate their fire." The Vanguard, Earth's elite strike force, launched into action. Using advanced exosuits and weaponry developed from Zephyrian technology, they took to the skies in swarms of high-speed aircraft and space fighters. Their mission, to disrupt the alien fleet and prevent them from coordinating their attacks. The battle erupted in the skies above Earth. The Vanguard engaged the Zephyrian ships in dogfights that spanned the atmosphere and low orbit. The alien vessels, though massive and powerful, were slow to maneuver, giving the human pilots a slight advantage. Plasma beams, missiles, and kinetic projectiles filled the sky as both sides clashed in a deadly ballet. On the ground, the situation was no less dire. Zephyrian drones descended from the ships, swarming across the landscape like locusts. These drones, with their sleek insect-like designs, attacked anything in their path: military installations, power grids, and even civilian areas. But Earth's forces were ready. Automated turrets, anti-aircraft batteries, and ground troops armed with advanced weaponry fought back with a ferocity born of desperation. Adrian watched the battle unfold on the screens before him. The Zephyrians were relentless, their numbers overwhelming. For every ship or drone the Vanguard destroyed, more seemed to take their place. The shields were holding, but only just, and it was clear that they couldn't withstand the onslaught indefinitely. "General, we need to execute the disruption plan," Adrian said, turning to Vargas. She hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "Agreed. Initiating Operation Blackout." Operation Blackout was the linchpin of their strategy, a plan to strike at the heart of the Zephyrian fleet. Using intelligence gathered from Adrian's temporal incursions, the Vanguard had identified the Zephyrian mothership, the command vessel coordinating the entire invasion. If they could disable it, the rest of the fleet would be thrown into chaos. A team of Vanguard's best operatives, led by Captain Marcus Kane, prepared for the mission. They would use a newly developed stealth ship, equipped with cloaking technology, to infiltrate the mothership and deploy a device designed to disrupt the Zephyrians' communication network. The mission was perilous, and success was far from guaranteed. But it was their best shot. As the stealth ship launched, cloaked from the alien sensors, the battle intensified. The Zephyrians, sensing the resistance, began to concentrate their fire, targeting Earth's shields with renewed vigor. The ground trembled as cities were rocked by explosions, and the energy reserves powering the shields began to dwindle. In the command center, Adrian could feel the seconds ticking away, each one bringing them closer to either victory or annihilation. "Captain Kane, status report," Adrian called out through the comms. "We're approaching the mothership," Kane replied, his voice calm but tense. "Entering the docking bay now." The screens in the command center showed the Vanguard team slipping past the alien defenses, their ship a mere shadow against the massive bulk of the mothership. They landed inside and quickly disembarked, moving with the precision of seasoned operatives. The interior of the Zephyrian mothership was a labyrinth of organic structures, glowing with an eerie, pulsating light. The walls seemed to breathe, and the air was thick with the scent of alien chemicals. The team advanced cautiously, planting the disruption device at the heart of the ship's communication nexus. But the Zephyrians were not oblivious to the intruders. As the team set the device, alarms blared, and alien warriors swarmed the corridors. A fierce firefight broke out, the Vanguard fighting for their lives as they completed the mission. "Device is armed and ready," Kane reported, his voice strained as he fought off the advancing aliens. "We're getting out of here now!" The team fought their way back to the stealth ship, launching just as the disruption device activated. A shockwave of energy rippled through the mothership, sending the Zephyrian fleet into disarray. Without centralized command, the alien ships faltered, their attacks becoming erratic and uncoordinated. "Now's our chance," Adrian said, his eyes fixed on the screens. "Launch the counteroffensive." Earth's forces, seeing the opportunity, unleashed their full arsenal. The Vanguard pressed the attack, targeting the crippled Zephyrian ships with precision strikes. On the ground, the drones lost their synchronization, making them easier targets for the ground troops. The tide of battle was turning. One by one, the Zephyrian ships were destroyed, their wreckage raining down into the oceans and deserts below. The once invincible fleet was now in full retreat, their mothership heavily damaged and struggling to escape Earth's orbit. In the command center, the tension slowly began to lift as the realization of victory dawned. Adrian watched as the last of the Zephyrian ships vanished into the void, retreating into the depths of space. The invasion had been repelled, and Earth had survived. A cheer erupted in the command center, and across the globe, the battered but unbroken remnants of humanity celebrated. The cost had been staggering. Cities lay in ruins, millions had perished, and the planet itself bore the scars of the battle. But Earth was free, and humanity had secured its place in the cosmos. Adrian Walker stood silently amidst the jubilation, his heart heavy with the knowledge of what had been lost. Yet he also felt a deep sense of relief. The burden of the future, the weight of the knowledge he had carried for so long, was finally lifted. The world had changed, but it had not fallen. As the celebrations continued, Adrian quietly returned to his lab. The temporal displacement apparatus, the device that had shown him the future and set these events in motion, sat on his workbench. He knew its power, its potential for both great good and great harm. With a final glance at the device, he deactivated it and sealed it away, knowing that time travel was a gift too dangerous for humanity to wield freely. The future was uncertain, but for now, Earth had been saved. Humanity would rebuild, stronger and more united than ever before. They had faced the greatest threat in their history and emerged victorious. The Zephyrians had been defeated, but the lessons of their invasion would not be forgotten, and as humanity looked to the stars, they did so with a new sense of purpose, knowing that they were no longer alone in the universe and that they were capable of defending their home against any who would dare threaten it. The battle for Earth was over, but the story of humanity had only just begun.